Mr. Bernd VOEHRINGER, welcome to our Mediabox platform.
Thank you.
You are Congress member and from German delegation, and your report on local democracy in Cyprus will be discussed tomorrow in the plenary session, and we had a chance to discuss with you before the debate. It's important to note that this is the third monitoring report since Cyprus ratified the charter in 1988, if we know well. So what are your outcomes on local democracy in Cyprus after your observations?
Yeah, as I said, it was the third report about local democracy in Cyprus, and sure, first of all, we had a look. What about the recommendations of last time? What were our results? Have there been some relevant changes in law, in the practice of local democracy in Cyprus? And to be honest, we had a look in all different areas: finance, constitution, law, regulations, practice of local government. And we thought there's still a potential for development of local democracy in Cyprus. For example, the communities and municipalities, they are not really strong if you look at the law perspective. And we have a really strong central government which has a lot of influence at local government. And for example, one concrete example, if you look at the budget, local government, you as a mayor, as a city council, you have your budget, you decide over the budget. But in Cyprus, they have to present the budget to central government. That it will be approved before it will go into effect, before it is like a rule for local government. So it's always a very, very strong influence of central government. If you look at the financing of projects, for example, all the subsidies was a very important part of the budget of central grants. Yeah.
And from this perspective, you call especially authorities, local authorities, to ensure the applicability of the charter. So, especially, could you give some examples on how many articles or what articles that should be applied? Much more detailed version?
Yeah, there are different articles. One really important is the question: what's the role of a local charter in a constitutional hierarchy in Cyprus? Yeah? And there was even a discussion with the Supreme Court. We had a discussion, and there was even some years ago there was one decision of the Supreme Court that the local charter is not directly applicable. And so it's very important because the country has signed the local charter, and it's important that local government has the possibility to look after the local charter and to have a possibility to go before the Supreme Court. And so that's one very important point in the constitutional hierarchy. There are many other points, for example, if you look at the financial autonomy, that they really can decide over their own budget, and that central government focuses, for example, on the ex-post control, that they have ex-post control of the administrative activities, of all the activities of local governments, but not before. Yeah, so and that's one decisive point. There are other points, for example, what are the competencies and powers of local government, so they really have the possibility to do their job. If they are too small, if they are too weak and don't have the competencies, sure they can't do their job. And so it's something like circulation. Yeah? So they are too weak, they don't have enough powers, they can't really do their job as they would like to. And on the other side, central government says, okay, yeah, you're not strong enough, yeah, so we have to make some government control. Yeah. And so that's a little bit complicated.
So what are your recommendations on that point for strengthen the democracy in the country? So to be much more precise, can you give some examples on the recommendations that you mentioned also in the report?
Yeah, there's a lot of recommendations. One is concerning finance, another is the status of councillors and mayors. That's not really clarified by law. So you have a lot of practice, reality in Cyprus, but the question is it defined by law? And if you look at the legal status of councillors, of mayors, there's no real legal status. And that's very often the case in different fields of local government, but you don't have a precise law. And that's, I think, very important that you can go to court, for example, if you have some complaint. That's just another example.
And because debate will be tomorrow, and what are the first reactions of the country members, representatives, as let's say local authorities from the Cyprus? So what we will see tomorrow in the debate, it's going to be a hot debate, much more discussions, maybe some amendments. So what would you like to, can you give some clues on that to us?
Yeah, you never know in advance what the debate will be, but we have been very in close contact to a Cypriot delegation of local authorities, and we had a discussion when we had a monitoring visit in Cyprus. And what we learned, that what we communicated in a recommendation, we learned it of talks with local representatives of big municipalities, very small communities. And they appreciate our recommendations. So we had a discussion when we've been there in Cyprus. We had a monitoring committee in June, and we had a discussion about our recommendations. And just this week I had another discussion with the Cypriot delegation. And so I think they see the problems, and they appreciate the recommendations we have. And so I think it would be really important that government will be open to implement some of the recommendations. Because we see, if you look at the last time, 2005, we have some points which really didn't change. And I think that's very important, that there's a real change in local democracy, that we have a really strong local democracy, and that central government reduces influence. And so that's a huge set of different points: finance, legislation, the question of control, ex post control. So it's an overall picture, and I think you have to work on different in different areas that you can improve local government, and that's the opinion of a delegation tour of Cyprus.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Rapporteur.
Thank you.